Mile 22, starring Mark Wahlberg, Rowdy Ronda Rousey, Iko Uwais, I hope I'm saying that correctly, he's a great actor, so I'm hoping I'm getting his name right, and Lauren Cohan. This movie was, I don't want to say it was bad, because it wasn't really bad. It had a lot of things that you would expect to see in a action flick, a modern action flick. If you expect to see a car chase, you got it. If you expect to see a gunfight, you're going to get one. If you're expecting to see a hallway fight, yeah, they got that too. So, what it is essentially, Mark Wahlberg leads a team of government black ops operatives. And what they do is they fix things. They find things that can't be found. They take out particular targets that the government wants taken out. Things like that. But he's angry. He doesn't have any shades of any personality except righteous fury. The entire movie, he's just mean and angry, and he's yelling at everybody. And Mark Wahlberg, much like myself, his voice does not carry through a room. It has to be forcibly projected. So when he's yelling, it doesn't really sound like he's mad. It sounds like he's, not really telling a joke, but, you know how you yell at somebody and you maybe tap them on the head. Everybody in the room knows that you're just playing, but you are in fact yelling, as a joke. What did you put that down there for? And everybody laughs. It's a joke. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like he was yelling, but not angry. But he was always yelling. He's in people's face and he's yelling and he's pointing his finger and he's waving his arms. But the whole time I'm like, why is he yelling? It didn't sound, he was trying to project anger, but he missed the mark. Berg. So, there was that kind of stuck out. Every single scene he showed up in, he's like, I don't care about your family. You gotta go to work. And I'm like, well, that's inhumane. That's not nice. Especially if you want these people to work for you, then, be nice a little bit sometimes, or else they're just going to think you're some kind of lunatic. Why would they work for you? But there was one incident where he's yelling at somebody. I don't want to give it away because maybe you haven't seen the movie. But there's one incident where he's yelling, and it's a thing that he decides to do, but he really shouldn't have done it, but he does it anyway, and he yells at that too. That was kind of funny. It was like as if somebody were to say, I'd like some cereal, but I don't have any milk. And then he gets up and he goes to the store and he buys milk and he comes back and says, there's your gosh darn milk. It was that one time, it was funny. The angry, screaming voice was funny one time. The whole audience laughed at it, so it was kind of good. It was the step-by-step action movie. It was. Everything that you could almost stand up and point at the screen and tell the audience, "There's a guy in the closet. His car is not going to work. He's going to hit him with that chair." You could kind of, almost troll the audience and tell them what was going to happen because the movie was so predictable to a point, and then it wasn't. So basically, Mark Wahlberg's team, this black ops team, they start off with a mission at the very beginning of the movie. And repercussions of that mission follow them throughout the movie. They get really quick flashes of Wahlberg talking, and throughout the flashbacks you realize that Wahlberg is in handcuffs and he's giving a statement. So this entire movie is like a flashback. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, what? That was kind of cool. And he's telling them, he's giving them his idea of what the events were. So he's telling them, and he's in handcuffs. But at first, you see him, he's talking, and he's all, he's bold. And then he goes back to the movie, and then they show him, and he's talking, and then the camera pans out a little bit, and you're like, is he at a desk? And then it pans out again when it shows him, like maybe 15, 20 minutes further into the movie, and you realize he's in trouble. Something happened. So now you're watching the movie like, what happened? What put him in that point? So now you're watching, and it pulls you in a little bit. The beginning, the first 20 minutes, they were rough, but it got better. They take Wahlberg and Iko, and they give them their own kind of hallway fight, their own individual kind of hallway fight, where Wahlberg does his Wahlberg thing. He's big, he's strong, he's got a gun, he's American, so he's shooting people. Bang, bang, bang. So he's in the hallway shooting at everybody. Iko was in The Raid. He's a kung fu, chopsaki, karate, fist of fury type dude. If you're fist fighting with him, you're probably going to catch a beat down. So he's doing his thing, but for some reason, all of a sudden, the guys Wahlberg's fighting have guns. The guys he's fighting do not. So that was kind of like, a little cheesy, but the fights were good. So Wahlberg's team has a mission at the beginning that ends badly, and they've got to find this destructive powder, and they've got to find it and I guess destroy it. This terrorist cell has it, but they're Russians, not Arabian. So he's got to find these Russians, and he's got to destroy this cell that they've got in America. And somebody says, "Hey, man!" They just walk up to an embassy, and they're like, "Hey, I've got some information that you're probably going to want about that drug, that powder." So Wahlberg's team gets pulled in, and they're like, "We're looking for the powder. What do you got?" And they've got to get him. He's like, "Well, get me here. Get me out of the country. Get me on a plane, and I'll tell you. But I'm not going to tell you until then." For some reason, he's doing this the whole movie. He's like, kind of like Rain Man, just counting his fingers. Actually, he's counting all of the digits. He's counting down or something like that. They don't know what he's doing. So they're like, "Okay, all right." And it's Iko. Iko's like, "Yeah, man, I'll tell you. I know what's going on." So they got to move him from the embassy 22 miles to the airport. But at the embassy, before they even decided to move him, that government's like, "We know you got one of our people. Give him up, or there'll be trouble." So they don't want to now, because they're like, "Oh, they want him. He must be important." So now they want to move him. So that's the meat of the movie. They've got to move these 22 miles with an entire government's force trying to get them. Once you get off that, when you're on the embassy, you're basically on American soil. It would not behoove them to attack an embassy. Though it happened in the past, it's a stupid thing to do. So they're like, "We're going to wait outside, bruh." So they're outside waiting, and they've got to get 22 miles through this wall of, I guess the enemy, and get to the plane. Now, me personally, if I was in charge of the opposing force, I'd have been like, blow up the plane. As soon as it lands, blow up the plane. They can't leave now. But instead, they try to stop them from getting to the plane, which is, it's a movie, so that's what they do. They're like, "Let's fight them," instead of blow up the plane. They can't leave now. So they fight. They're fighting all the way to the plane. They're getting out. People are getting shot. People who you think would survive are being killed. So at the beginning of the movie, there's people dying, a la Fallen or Casino. The movie kind of starts off with the heroes getting knocked off. It was a shock because I was like, they didn't kill that person, did they? Then there's these car chases, a la Fast and Furious, and then there was the fight. They get trapped in this building and they got to fight their way out of the building and through the building, up the building, out of the building. Got to get one of the people that's lost in the building, a la The Raid. Then they got to move these 22 miles and there's people trying to kill them, a la 12 Blocks. It seemed that they had taken a lot of movies that were fairly successful and then injected them into this movie to try to make sure that this movie worked. And to be honest, in the beginning I was like, but as it progressed, I could see where they were going, and it became a better movie, especially at the end. The last 10 minutes, 15 minutes is definitely worth watching the beginning of the movie, the entirety of the movie. The movie's meat is really in the last 15 minutes, because then you're like, oh, it got better. The last 15 minutes definitely lets you know that there's going to be at least one sequel. They may be making the attempt for a trilogy, but there's at least one sequel in there. And it wasn't bad after that. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, come on, man. But by the end, I was like, oh, that's great. That is great. Wow, incredible. So, mile 22, point A to point B. They're trying to stop you. What do? Bada boom. That was the movie. Even though the ending was fairly good, I still give this movie 7 bags of popcorn, and mostly because I like the Ico guy. He's super dangerous, and I like to see him kick the crap out of people. So that was a plus for me. But that's what I thought. Have you seen the movie? What'd you think? And if you like the video, if you like the content, subscribe and then like.
Popcorn Passport.